All this firewood. What am I going to do with all this firewood? I'm going to stack it, which will be the perfect time to show you how to build a firewood rack that is simple, low cost, versatile, expandable. What else is it? There might be a few uppity people who might consider it to be a little bit ghetto, but sometimes you just have to get over it. Okay, if the puns are starting this early in the video, that's not a good sign. Sometimes it's best to distract me with work so I don't get too carried away with that. We start out with 2 boards or some kind of a similar object. 2x4s would be great. I'm using just pieces of sawmill offcuts because it's what I just happen to have here handy. We're going to space them at about firewood length apart. Hopefully you're going to be smart about this and do this on even ground, unlike me, who is doing it on ground that is lumpy. To compensate for that, I'm going to put this piece of wood under this lumpy spot. Hopefully for your sake, you're the type of person who makes good decisions in life, like not choosing to stack their firewood on lumpy ground. In that case, you can disregard this part. Make sure the other side is about firewood length. Now we take a short board or some kind of an object that would be sufficient to do what we are about to do and attach it to the end with whatever your favorite fastener is. You could use nails or screws. I use nails because that's what I happen to have handy. I left the tops high because someday I'm probably going to want to tear it apart. We have now completed the most complicated part of this build. It all gets easier from here. One of the great things about this method, you can start stacking before you're even finished building. Not only can you, but it's a requirement because the stack is going to be part of the rack. That totally rhymed. Now that we have a little bit of a stack here, we can do what's probably the most complicated part of the build. I told you it was the other part, but after I think about it, this part is probably the more complicated. And I thought it might be a little bit discouraging for you if I told you the most complicated part is yet to come. For the upright, you use a board or some kind of a similar object. Place the bottom of it on this side of this board we nailed on. Now that I think about it, nailing that board on was probably the most simple, easy part of this whole thing we're doing. Now you get a piece of wire, rope, string, strong string, a strap, some kind of an object, some kind of a stringy type object. Attach the stringy type object you choose to the upright board-like object you choose at what seems like might be a sufficient height. Put a chunk or 2 on the bottom to keep it upright. Now stretch out the stringy type object of your choosing. I chose to use this wire because it's what I happen to have handy. Stretch this out what seems like a sufficient distance into the stack. Keep in mind, the farther you go, the more secure it'll be. Now we'll wrap this around a piece of wood and secure it. That was the most complicated and difficult part of this build. It might seem like this is leaning that way, which it is a little bit. Mostly it looks like that because we are on a slope. The slope is going this way. Hopefully you're the type of person who makes good decisions in life, like not building your firewood rack on a slope. Then you won't have to deal with that. Now we can start stacking wood around this anchor piece. I just made that name up, an anchor piece. That seems appropriate. What would possess me to be stacking my firewood on a slope? Well, I just happen to have a slope here handy. Now that the anchor piece is buried firmly in the stack, I don't even know which one it is now, our string-like object of choice is firmly holding up the upright. Now we can start stacking wood up against it. I could keep going, but 4 feet is as high as I want to go on this. It would have been better if I would have chosen a 4-foot long upright instead of this ridiculously long one, but this is what I had handy. I could have cut this one off at the right length, but I don't have a saw down here handy. I can do that some other time when I do have one. In order to continue, we could do the same thing on this side to put an upright here. Or if you're going to make it only this short, you can skip all this rigmarole we did here, attach your string-like device from that one to this one, and they can just push against each other. But I think the way we did it is just more fun. If we want to continue the stack, just put a couple more pieces down, spread them out, firewood length, just like before. These just keep the wood off the ground. It keeps them clean, keeps them dry. At least dry as far as absorbing moisture from the ground. Now we can continue stacking this as far as we want to go. You can just keep going with it as far as you want to keep going with it. Then when you get to the end, as far as you want to go, do what we did on the other end to make a secure end thing on the end. It is simple, at least I think it's simple. It's low cost. I used materials that most of us have laying around. I did, it didn't cost me anything. It's expandable. You can make this as long as you want until you run into something like a river or the property line. When you hit your property line, you might want to stop because your neighbor might get upset, come out, give you a stern talking to. That's never fun. Although it depends on the neighbor. They might see this as a good thing, like you're giving them free firewood. Either way, it doesn't work out well for you. I suggest you stop at the property line. You can make it as high as you want, although I prefer not to go much higher than this. If you get higher, you start to run the risk of catastrophic stack failure, which is a technical term that means my stack of wood tipped over. It's versatile because you can make it as long as you want and as high as you want. I guess we already covered those ones. It's versatile because you can do it however you want and you can use whatever materials you want as long as it works. We could go deep into the geometry of where is the best spot to put the anchor piece, where's the best height to attach your string-like device, how deep to put it in here. Dude, it's firewood. It really doesn't matter that much, as long as it works. The deeper you go, the further in you go, the stronger it's going to be. The higher you go back here, the stronger it's going to be. If what you really want is a firewood rack to put on your front deck, you want it to look really nice, this could be a little bit ghetto for what you want, but you could make this look nice too. I think this is more to put out in the back 40, a place like this, especially if you're going to do multiple rows of a lot of firewood. I'm not trying to suggest this is the best way to make a firewood rack. It's just another option to put in your list of ways to make firewood racks. You could use a T-post or something like that at the end. If you did that, you could skip that board we nailed at the bottom. And if your T-post is strong enough, you could even skip the whole string-like device. I stacked this whole half quart of firewood just so I could show you how to do this. I think that at least deserves a like. I'll give you a moment to hit the like button. Oh, you need to log into your YouTube account first? Okay, we'll give you a moment for that. Okay, now that I got you to hit the like button, that wasn't the real reason why I stacked this, or not the main reason. I plan on taking this out another 8 feet for another upcoming video, which I'm going to do because some people are really confused about how to figure out what a cord of wood is. Stick around for that one. Now that I got you to hit the like button, that wasn't the real reason why I stacked this. Okay, not the main reason. I plan on taking this out another 8 feet for another upcoming video. Stick around for that one and see how maybe I'll come up with an even more clever way to get you to hit the like button.